Hello and welcome to Rugby Players React with the good, the bad and the rugby and World Rugby. Each episode of this show, a legend of the game joins us to look back on some classic men's matches from the Rugby World Cup.
I knew that the fans hadn't had enough drama.
Oh, you're right, Tinds. That would be much better. From the sublime...
Bigger, off the field!
That was a very good day. To the ridiculous...
Surely.
What a shocker.
We'll be getting the insights of the greatest games that have been played in rugby's finest tournament from those who started.
Bigger, he's got it!
Tinds is back.
Hello.
We've got a good one this time around because we also have with us today one of his former teammates, part of the side that lifted the World Cup in 2003, none other than the great Lawrence Dallaglio. How are you?
Very well, thanks, Alex. Yeah, good to be on the show.
Looking very well. Nice to have you with us.
Thank you.
And as you know, we are going to rewatch some of the classic games between England and Australia. England-Australia ranks where in your memories?
Well, I think in terms of sporting rivalries, it's right up there as one of the biggest sporting rivalries, that exists. And obviously, it just so happened that fate put us together in the Rugby World Cup final in 2003. To play them in their own backyard in a World Cup final was pretty special.
Someone says to you now, England-Australia, you think?
Banter, abuse. From my point of view, when I came into that England team, I went through a period of 3 years never losing to Australia. That was the thing about the World Cup final. We'd been over there in the summer of the same year and beat them up basically in Melbourne. So to then go to that pitch to a team that I hadn't lost to before, there was a confidence level of the main thing we had to do was not let the occasion overcome what the fundamentals were, which were a game to a team that I hadn't lost to on a pitch that we'd beaten them on before.
OK, at this point, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the World Rugby YouTube channel for additional shows like this, as well as highlights. We've got moments from the archives as well for you and a whole lot more. So turn on your notifications to make sure that you never miss a video. It was a very, very special day for everyone in this part of the world. Instrumental in the build-up. So
Made it, some might say.
How many times have you seen this since?
2 or 3, I think, 3 or 4, maybe, I don't know. But I mean, we conceded an early try, which we did in quite a lot of the games. And yeah, I think we dominated really the first half, and it's important to get the score. And Jason Robinson, naturally the scorer, although Ben Cohen was desperate for Johnny Wilkinson to pass the ball back inside.
The biggest thing
maybes.
is Johnny missed his kick, and if Johnny had just floated it on the inside, Ben's underneath
But
the stick.
it's a sort of classic 1-2, how you unlock a defence, an outside pass, then an inside pass, then an outside pass is kind of the way it works. And
Sterling Mortlock was too busy trying to get people over, and he underestimated your pace, Lol, I think.
Well, listen, I heard Johnny...
Margot coming to the fore.
I heard Johnny calling in on the inside. It's a bit of an instinctive pass, and then he hits Jason Robinson. I remember, just vividly going into that game thinking, look, we've beaten Australia 6 times previously, okay, home and away. We're a better side than them. They know we're a better side than them, but we've still got to go out there and prove it. And actually, that World Cup final was dramatic, as they often can be. And you've got to give credit to Australia for making it as exciting as it was, because in all the previous games, we'd probably beaten them a lot more comfortably. What you didn't show in this clip is that I gave away a couple of penalties as well, probably the one that forced the game into extra time, because I knew that the fans hadn't had enough drama.
We're giving the people what they want.
To that point.
I was just looking at a clip and I was thinking, where was I? And I was running back the other way. If I'd have followed Lol around,
could have been you.
It could have been me.
Go on then, let's have a look at the drop. Where were you for the drop? What was your view of the drop?
I was on the right-hand side, actually.
There you are, that's you on the back, yes. Hands on hips, just in case it comes on one more.
Yeah.
I think you knew what was happening.
I knew exactly what was happening, but
Best seat in the house.
The whole thing had been planned from the kickoff. The only thing that wasn't planned was the Matt Dawson break, which was clearly quite instrumental in getting us close enough to the line. Great moment, drop goal. Johnny had actually missed a few that game.
Yeah, off his left foot, so he put it on his right.
But
it's a horrible flight. I only noticed that today. It's a forward spinner. What I loved about that was Will Greenwood, so confident in his kicking ability, has dived on the floor to make sure that a man who loves taking the limelight, definitely didn't want to put his clown feet through that.
He was very quick to Wilkinson at the full-time whistle there, wasn't he?
Yeah, well, he knows
he's a PR machine, isn't he?
He knows the camera. The camera doesn't usually find Will because there's better looking players on the field, but he knows where the camera is. But apart from the opening score that they had, it was always us being ahead and them just pegging us back and us being ahead. And so when we got to extra time, we were quite calm, probably the calmest, far calmer than any of you behind your sofas at home or in the pub or wherever you were. It was just calm. We just said, look, we're here. We've been ahead all game and we're going to continue to be ahead. And that's kind of what happened, really. But to play the hosts in Sydney, in their stadium, and just about come out on top, dream final.
Righto, we are 3 years out from the next British and Irish Lions tour, taking place in Australia in 2025. And this summer, would you believe, marks 25 years since Lawrence and the squad of 1997 went on that epic tour to South Africa, one of the all-time greats. And to mark the occasion, the Lions and World Rugby are giving you a chance to win a shirt signed by the entire tour squad from 2021. To be in with a chance to win, head over to world.rugby right now. We've got a link for you in the description. Do read the terms and conditions carefully, please. And we'd like to say a massive thank you as well to our friends at the British and Irish Lions for supplying this fantastic prize. Get yourselves a clicking. Shall we move on? This is not quite such comfortable viewing, but it was a game that certainly wrote a lot of headlines in this part of the world. 2015, the Rugby World Cup pool match between England and Australia.
The scene was set. You couldn't ask for anything better. That atmosphere at Twickenham is as good as it's ever been. We've seen it all with previous hosts of World Cups. Playing in your own country is not easy. There is enormous expectation, as we saw in New Zealand. When New Zealand had the World Cup, they only just about got over the line in the final. And these guys were under pressure, and they felt it. And unfortunately, it transferred into their performance.
Who offers that left foot option? Farrell, thumper from Hooper.
Michael Hooper there with the hit, but the Hooper-Pocock axis at this tournament was something quite special, wasn't it? Was that something that you caught your eye?
Yeah, they always do have a pretty amazing back row, and they always get the best out of them. I mean, the way that the game has changed, particularly at the breakdown, at that time, having those two players that just had that unique ability to really turn ball over, they had to be dealt with.
Foley, here comes Gitto again for Lau. Watson's tackles, no joy at the moment for Australia down that flank.
We're talking about that suffocating tension, and
but then this is
had.
also how organised they can be, and they were bouncing left and right. They'd obviously seen something in the way England moved their close defenders, and Foley was just in such good form at this time as well.
Now Foley, little dummy, Foley's going through. Oh, what a score from the fly half!
But that's what Foley was so good at, was playing so close to the line.
Yeah.
If you do a little drift there, he's well aware of who's on the inside of Ben Youngs, and he knows it's an easy gap for him to take.
I remember being this game, actually, and I remember just suddenly, you just feel the wind, all the hope begins to go quite quickly.
Adam Cooper at the front of the line out again, but this time it all adds up.
And this is where you see where they've done their homework now. It's like a three-play set piece where they know exactly what they're doing.
A lot of ground. Simmons on the floor.
They knew they're going to bounce back, whether you call it a 21 pattern or whatever, and they just know exactly what they're doing.
Bill back to Foley. It's more than interesting. It is a beauty.
I can't imagine you did, given the way you played, but can you remember playing in a game where you just feel the whole thing going spectacularly wrong?
Yes, it would have happened a few times. But yeah, on one or two occasions, you can just feel that the game is slipping away from you, and it's a horrible feeling.
Yeah.
But actually, England worked their way back into this game, and they still had an opportunity to get something out of it. But I remember being in commentary thinking, oh no, this is a disaster.
Yeah.
This is definitely heading in the wrong direction.
17-3 down at half-time, and then in poker parlance, you're down to a chip and a chair, really, aren't you?
I mean, most teams at international level, at any level, once you're ahead at half-time, you generally don't let the side win.
Yeah.
I mean, statistically, it would be in the 90% and above mark that the team who's winning at half-time tends to go on and win the game.
Yeah.
So in order to turn that around, you have to produce something prety special.
I think it was Anthony Watson who scored for England to get them back into it.
Yeah,
but
great try.
It was a great try, but then things, I mean, you know it's over when it's over.
Australia have grabbed the territory back. Oh, that's getting very complicated. That looked a bit high.
Is this frustration, technique, just...
Well, I mean, that would have been a penalty for a high tackle anyway. But
take your pick, really.
Well, I mean, do you know what I mean? It would have been, but it was made worse.
The hit's not bad. It's
I don't think
underneath his
the hit's
armpit.
bad.
What they're saying is that Farrell should be looking at the ball flight, but it's not that easy in real speed.
You never watch, and you kill the
Is it from to the person that got the ball?
But I mean, really, are we honestly going to pin the blame on Owen Farrell for us losing the World Cup? Absolutely not.
He is his father's son in terms of from a leadership perspective, but verbally on the field as well. And some people love him, some people hate him the way his demeanour is. But it's because he's a natural-born competitor.
I think everyone loves him. I think the press have just created, and the South Africans themselves have created an anti-Farrell club that seems to have gained a bit of momentum. He's one of the greatest warriors and players that England have ever had. And he was a babysitter for my son Enzo during the 2007 World Cup.
Was he really?
Because I was playing with his dad, Andy.
Of
And I
course.
remember Enzo grew up a little bit. He said, "Dad, why's my babysitter playing for England?" I said, "He won't be babysitting again, that's for sure." But
Hooper, one of the major reasons. He finds Foley. Foley to Adam Ashley Cooper. He's got Matt Giteau outside. Gives it to Giteau. And Giteau to round it off. Australia have dumped the host out of the competition.
Well done, the Wallabies. On that occasion, they went deep into the tournament, obviously losing late on to New Zealand in the final as New Zealand went back-to-back with Rugby World Cup titles. We're going to move on to 2019, the Rugby World Cup quarter-final match between England and Australia. This was taking place in Oita in Japan. We were out there.
We were there.
What a night that was.
we were there, yeah.
Yeah, you were there as well, Lol.
I mean, it was a strange old atmosphere because we'd left Tokyo, hadn't we? And we arrived in Oita. And I was quite curious as to why they would play a World Cup quarter-final there, because it felt like you were decamping to Swindon.
Yeah.
With no disrespect to the residents of Oita, but
Or Swindon.
or Swindon for that matter.
They
But
did it brilliantly, the walkout. Do you remember
Yeah.
it was a good atmosphere. They sort of energised at the start.
I mean, I thought the Japanese World Cup was amazing.
Worth saying at this point, we'd love you to leave a comment. We'd love to hear what you would like us to get into on Rugby Players React. So do make sure you leave a comment down below.
First touch, Henry Slade.
But you know, Australia always possessed this threat.
Courtney Beale cuts through.
He has his haters as well, doesn't he, Curtly Beale? But he's electric when he's on it.
But it's a wonderful covering tackle by the England captain, Owen Farrell.
I think this was actually one of the only games where England had a relatively slow start.
England give away the penalty.
Early penalty, yeah.
Eddie had always said that they had to be quick out the box, and generally they were. I think in this game was one of the first ones where they made a few errors early on. It's not really what you want. Team talk is don't give them anything, and then you've just given them a lazy high tackle.
There's that little curl. It's good by Christian Lealiafano.
Christian Lealiafano, who actually had overcome terrible illness to make it back to the team.
I mean, they
which
had some issues, if I remember rightly, coming into this game. Michael Cheika had gone from, he kept swapping his nines over, didn't he? And he had issues at 10. Lealiafano, who hadn't played a huge amount of rugby, sort of stepped in. So I think they didn't feel settled as a side, but yet they still possessed, that individual brilliance, that kind of ability to score from anywhere.
So England obviously struggling a little bit at this point, just working out how to get themselves into the game, and then quick as a flash.
Farrell. Manu Tuilangi running hard. England with numbers. Tom Curry. Johnny May. His 50th cap. His 26th try for his country. England take the lead.
A couple of really good lines there.
Strong lines and using people in the right way. And then fast ball, I mean, that's key. He's just getting that quick ball and, ruck speed in getting that up and away.
It means that the ball runner has got a couple of options off him. It means that England are getting more metres, and then all they're doing is just stretching it out, absolutely reaping the benefits.
But it's amazing how the picture in a game can change, from being 3-0 down to suddenly 2 tries in 3 minutes.
Play on, says the referee. David Pocock just does that. Interception by Henry Slade. Johnny May with him, the kick for May to chase. It's going to be 2 in 3 minutes. Johnny May again for England.
Johnny May, obviously, Mike, you played with at Gloucester a number of times. In terms of raw speed?
Yeah, I mean, he went to Denver and did a speed clinic, and when he came back, he was just lightning.
Well, England have missed Johnny May. There's no doubt about that. In fact, I think Eddie Jones has in recent times has said, we're lacking real pace on the wing, and he's right.
He knew he had the pace on him on the outside. It was brilliant play.
Lovely from Henry Slade.
Yeah. I mean, but that's the thing you can do when you've got As a centre, if you're confident that you've got someone with absolute juice
And
outside
you haven't got the gas to get there.
I'm not saying I ever experienced that. I always knew I had the pace to get to a corner, but and then done. See you later.
14-3, completely different game.
Yeah.
I think England, unlike the previous tournament, where these players, a lot of these players are the same players, but they're just a lot more mature.
Yeah.
They're a lot more battle-hardened. They've won trophies for their clubs. They're much more experienced players. You know, experienced players don't let leads like that slip, really.
Australia, always dangerous. But I mean, when you look at this team sheet relative to some of the others that we've covered, they had less of those sort of really.
Well, I think they did, but there was no cohesion in the group. I don't think there were. You know, and I don't mean that disrespectfully, but they weren't settled. They were an unsettled team.
Yeah.
There was more questions than answers in that group. There was a lot of chopping and changing of the team, and I don't think their results have been magnificent coming into the tournament. So I think when you have that level of uncertainty, that doesn't help you when you're trying to overhaul a 14-3 deficit, you know, because you start to doubt yourself even more.
So England kick on, turning the screw. England's line out.
A step too far for Australia.
Itoje, more possession for England. This isn't going far. In comes Lewis Ludlam to add his weight, Ben Young's weight. Maybe there will be a chance for Johnny May. Just there, bottom of the picture. Number 11. Penalty advantage, England. The screw turns again.
And again, we're talking about Wilkinson and the security of having a goal kicker who's going to give you 85, 90 plus.
Lawrence summed it up, didn't you, about his mentality, and his ruthlessness to win is what Farrell has, and I think he thrives off those big moments like any big time player you would want him to do.
I'm in the front row thinking they get a breather for at least a minute, and the rest of us are thinking we want some reward, and that's what the game's about. You know, don't get me wrong, we all love scoring tries, but ultimately the game is about winning. And in knockout rugby, which this is, let's not forget this is a World Cup, biggest tournament, it's knockout rugby. It's about being smart as well. Australia have decided not to go for 3. They've come out the other end. We've got our line out. We drive it forward. And look at those. You know, sport is about emotions, about winning, it's losing. And you couldn't get 2 more contrasting emotions than Eddie Jones like that, clapping away, and his old mate, Michael Checker.
Going the other way.
And Owen Farrell is almost as if to rub insult to injury, saying, you didn't kick the points, we get up the other end, we're going to do exactly that. And it's a far more difficult penalty, if you like, but for these guys, it's like a little 9-iron, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sweet Chariots rings out around the Oita Stadium. Australia win themselves a penalty. Nick White takes it quickly and is away. Finds support. Samu Karevi, Courtney Beale cuts back the other way. Chased down by Jonathan Joseph, the last of the Serbs. Anthony Watson picks off the pass. The job is complete.
Finishing with a flourish. Final try went to Anthony Watson as the game neared the full-time hooter.
And that's the icing on the cake at the moment for England.
As performances go, did it get your seal of approval?
Yeah, definitely. I thought that it ends up being quite an emphatic victory, but actually there were moments in the game when it was pretty even.
Yeah.
And I thought tactically we seemed to have the answers for everything that they threw at us. It made me sit up and think that actually the coach knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
And the players are able to follow a game plan that has been implemented. And in the end, it was a really good night.
They will keep going to the very end because they do. This is what they do, even in defeat. Now it's all over. Wait for it. Wait for the roar. England are the first team to go through to the semi-finals at the 2019 Rugby World Cup.
And England marched on to the semi-final where, of course, they met New Zealand. Congratulations to South Africa overall. I think we're contractually obliged to say that, but that was a heck of a day for all England fans out in Oita in Japan. That is it for this episode of Rugby Players React. Thank you to Tinds. Thank you very much indeed to the great Lawrence Dallaglio. Lovely to see you.
Thank you.
Look after yourself. We'll catch up again soon. For more great rugby content, including a special extended reaction from this episode, head to world.rugby/video. There is a link in the description below. We shall see you soon. Bye for now.